Pledge of Allegiance, please, Member Ridley.
Please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is announcement of actions taken in closed session, if any. There were no actions taken in closed session. Moving on, item number 10, public comment. I have one request for public comment from Reef Coleman.
Hello. Hello. Welcome Superintendent Governing Board. My name is Reef Coleman. I am the Marketing Director of Jersey Mike's, the subs. Has anybody here had them?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Yeah, okay, cool. We do fundraising, and we do large scale fundraising. We like to pour into the community as much as we take from the community. So what I'd like to do, what we're doing with a lot of other school districts, is we're coming to the principals meetings. We supply lunch for the principals, and then we describe our fundraiser. And this is the fundraiser. It's a coupon, goes on for a week long, and for every coupon redeemed, we get $3 back to the school. So essentially, they can bring back as much money as they like if they spread it via social media. We do the prints for them, we do everything. All they have to do is distribute it, and then come to the doors. Usually you see a return of, for a whole district, depending on the size of the district, from $5,000 upwards to $10,000, $15,000, $12,000. And just depends on how much the district actually gets involved and gets behind it. So that's what I have for you. Yeah, that's it. And we also bring out free kids meal cards and student meal deal cards for the high school students, so on and so forth, as little prizes for them for attendance and so on and so forth.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Question, yes, Mr. Ridley.
We've been to Jersey Mike's. Where is the nearest Jersey Mike's?
Great question. It's a franchise, so they own territories. This territory has been purchased, which is Temple City, but they haven't broken ground yet on an actual location. Rosemead would be the nearest to Temple City, or would Blanket, because it's the same owner for the territory. Temple City, Almani, San Gabriel, Alhambra, and then they also have Pico Rivera, Montebello, and all the way down. So right now we're working currently with 27 other school districts. And they've been greenlighted to grow to 78 stores. So they'll have 78 in this area, which is from franchising.
The fundraising effort,
Yes.
do you have to go to one store or any store?
This is actually store specific because it's territory specific, so it will be generated for that store. And it has the address. The way the flyer works, it has the address to the store you have to participate at, and the actual logo of the school along with the name of the school. And the barcode is sensitive to that school, so the numbers are only tracked for that school at a time. So every school makes their own funds.
Okay. Great.
Thank you. I'll leave you my card here. And I guess, yeah, if anybody wants me there at the principal's meeting, or what I talked about, I'd love to share it and let you know what it looks like. Excellent, thank you. Enjoy. Bless you, have a great night, and I'm off like a herd of turtles. And here's a sample flyer too, so you can see what that looks like. And then I also have, I want to give it to somebody responsible, because I don't want to.
That would be the lady to my left.
Hey, everyone here can have one, but if we could give it to one, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Well, next.
Oh, watch out.
I got, don't worry.
Just make it rain. Just throw it out. Okay, everyone, thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
And I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. All right.
Okay, so moving on, update on district issues, business services. Business services, Ms. Soriano.
Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Educational services, Dr. Franciscini.
Yes, thank you. We had a great New Teacher Academy today. It was a wonderful kickoff with Ms. Carini and our union reps with Deb Morey and Jessica Gould. They did a great job planning, preparing our new teachers, welcoming them to our culture of Temple City. We were on a bus and we toured the city. I know Ms. Carini will probably want to talk about more of the details, but it was a really nice feel tone. Lots of pep and energy in the room with these newbies, and they're so excited to be part of Temple City. addition to that, I just wanted to let the board know that we are starting to analyze our LCAP data. And so one of the first pieces of data that has come in is the advanced placement scores for the students who took the advanced placement in 2015. And just to let you know that this is pretty exciting stuff, when our English language composition class that was taught by Sarah Pinalora scored 92% passage rate. That means that students received a 3, see she's smiling, a 3 or above, 3, 4, 5 passage rate. So 92% passed. 138 students challenged the test. I mean, that's kudos, because for so long we were stuck in that 80% zone and we couldn't break that 80%, and we finally did jump up to 92. Other wonderful news, Calculus BC, taught by Ms. Bolgen, 100% passage rate. We had 100% passage rate for each of our foreign languages, for Chinese, French, and German. And so kudos to everyone. And last but not least, Studio Art Drawing Portfolio, Mihi Kim teaches that class. There were 11 students who challenged it. It's a very daunting AP exam, several components, multiple steps. We had 100% passage rate for the 11 students who challenged that. So kudos to everyone.
Wow, that's great news. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Personnel Services, Mr. Kuna.
I just wanted to thank Deb Maury and Jessica Gould for helping out today. We had 24 new teachers. Unfortunately, one of them couldn't make it today. We had various, it was from special ed to TK to high school, and it was unbelievable the amount of hiring that actually has happened over the summer. But thank you to the association for really partnering with us and making sure that our new teachers are successful. And I know with the support of everybody, they will be. So that's it.
Thank you. Okay, bargaining unit comments. TCEA.
If I
Yes.
could I want to thank the district for being so helpful with the new teachers. And it was so exciting. 4 of them actually graduated from Temple City High School. And 3 of the 4 have not changed at all. I said, one girl, wait now, how old are you? She said, 27. I said, how could you still look like you're 15? Some people are just lucky. So it was really exciting. And thank you to Kathleen, Art, Kate, Mary Ann. It was great.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. And let's see, CSEA 105. I don't see Robin. Any representative? CSEA 823. Okay. All right, thank you. Moving on to the next page. Student board member comments. Ms. Weiss, good evening.
Hi, I'd just like to say hello to all of you guys. I've been missing out, so I'm glad to be back. Just an update, on August 10th and 11th, our ASD had our annual retreat in Monrovia Canyon Park, and we stayed in a cabin there, and we did group bonding, and we were able to take what we learned from our CATA retreat, which was at UC Santa Barbara, and apply it to our own ASB. Ms. Perini came and talked, and we had a very wonderful session. We were able to speak a lot of our concerns and discuss a lot of the issues that we felt were necessary, and I think it was pretty beneficial. Thank you so much for coming. On Monday, I met with Ms. Perini and Mr. Kuna. We did a walkthrough for Temple City High School. We diagnosed all of the different aspects of the school that needed help, or just different things that we thought needed some attention. So we did the softball field, we looked at the locker rooms, we looked at the gym, we went over the senior circle, which is in progress right now. It looks really good. And then today was the last day of registration, so we've been doing that since last Thursday. So today was finally a day where I could sleep in. I've been up at like 6:30 all week. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Okay, board member comments. Well, why don't we start down the end, member PTA.
Actually, don't have much except excited that school's about to start soon. At least I'm so excited that my kids will be out of the house and be in school soon. Now it's up to you all over there to teach them That's about it.
Thank you. Mr. Nolenberg, as I often say, into the microphone, please. Thank you.
A couple of rather quick ones. One, I'd like to thank the high school for its hosting of the water program from the East Pasadena Water Company a couple of Saturdays ago. About probably 100, 150 people showed up. I think most people considered it a success. There was also a food truck there to give away free food, which helped. Also, yesterday at the city council meeting in Temple City, the president of PCC, the new president of PCC, and 3 of his staff members, along with representative of PCC's trustee, for this district, gave a little presentation to the city, saying in a sense that they're willing to help the city in any way possible. I assume they'll be coming to us sooner or later to do the same thing, promising. So we can start thinking of what we could benefit from PCC. Also, they mentioned that there are now 4 programs at the high school that are joint with PCC. So if you take the classes at the high school, you get credit at PCC for the same classes, which is the beginning of hopefully a long relationship for us, and hopefully grows. It's one of the areas with STEAM, once again, that they concentrated on. Also, I'd like to thank Daniel and his staff for giving a tour of the oversight committee people of Doug Sears Learning Center and globally. Just so not only that I think 3 or 4 people showed up, but it still brought some attention to how well Doug Sears Learning Center is, and how everybody's moved in and it's ready to go, and how well we spent our money, I think, hopefully. One of the other things, and this is a general thing, some of the surrounding cities have had the same problem, and that is some of the trees, because of the water problems, have been dropping some of the limbs into the streets. And it's one of the things that's just more of a precautionary thing. A lot of cities are now, what they're doing is called deep watering trees. Instead of letting water just run, they come along and they try to saturate the roots and try to minimize the damage to the trees. Because I guess there's a certain point where if you let the tree go so long without water, you can't get it back. And so what you want to do is keep it in this happy medium where there's enough water so the tree is prospering, but not too much water. And then at some later date, when water becomes more available, the tree will then enhance and start growing again, hopefully. The city is moving forward with the youth committee, which I think most of our students at the high school are participants in. This time they had 5 males and 13 females. They're going to make the announcement next month who's going to be on it, hopefully. Our representative will be one of them. Also, they did a report, and this affects us in the long term. Last year, there was something like 85 houses that were mobile family residents that got permits to do work in the city, which means those families, there's 85 families, no one knows how many kids per family, and there wasn't any discussion on how many families are in each house, but it will have some impact, long-term impact on us. And that was in a poor year economically. There were 10 houses that were torn down. Let's see. There was one major development which was lost in what is it? Where's your office? The old office? Lower Azusa. But that's outside the city of Temple City, but it's inside the city limits of Temple City. And that's 44 units that were put in place. And also, hopefully people realize that next week is the beginning of school and they will drive carefully and be aware that there are a lot more people going to be on the streets, especially during the starting and ending of the schools, and there'll be a lot more traffic problems.
Thank you, Member Nolenberg. Member Ridley.
Thank you. I'd just like to welcome everyone back, and especially our new teachers and staff that are joining our district, and wish everyone a very successful year.
Thank you. Member Bell.
All right, likewise, as Member Ridley said, I'd like to welcome everyone back and looking forward to the start of another great school year. I also want to thank our own Ms. Perini and Ms. Sorrell and Mr. Rodriguez for taking the time out last week to set up shop at our summer concert at the park to impart knowledge about the progress of our bond to our general community. And I think that that is an important component of the things that we do now as a district and how we present ourselves to our public, to our, they supported our bond, so we should do things like that. So, and that's it, yeah.
Thank you, Member Bell. And let's see. I just wanted to welcome also our new staff. I was excited to see a photograph of the staff tour today, and glad to hear about that and how that was done. And to all of our new teachers and other staff members, including Mr. Harper, who's here tonight, thank you for being here. And for those employees who are in new roles, such as Mr. Harrington, we're all very optimistic about the year. We feel very good about the hiring and the promotions, I suppose you might say, that have occurred. So we're very much looking forward to having both of you here and excited for the new teachers about whom we've heard only good things. I had the chance yesterday to enroll my 9th grader at Temple City High School for the first time. Register, I guess, is the right verb. So the public should know that of the 5 board members, we now have one who is a current student at the high school. But I was very excited not only to be there with her and to carry her heavy books home, but also to see our student board member, Ms. Weiss, along with other ASB members. And it's so amazing to see kids that you knew when they were little, and then there they are with their ASB shirt on and their name stitched in, and they're manning the tables and participating in the process. So it was fun to see, and it went very smoothly. So thanks to all who participated in that. And as my colleague said, just looking forward to a great start to the year. Okay, Superintendent's comments, please.
Thank you, Mr. Pomeroy. And as Bailey indicated, we had a great time at the ASB retreat. The high school is in great hands with the students that we have, and I've assured Bailey that we're going to continue to have conversations, and then I'll be making appearances at the ASB meetings on a regular basis, so we keep the communication going not only with our ASB students, but as I shared with the students at the retreat, that we see them as representatives of all students in the Temple City School District, and we want to continue to build that capacity with them and also have that communication so that we're able to provide the quality education and service to our students, and Bailey's doing a great job. She has that discerning eye that we like to see in pointing things out that we can work together to make better for everybody at our sites. We had a great day today, as was indicated. We had a motor coach. Most of the new teachers thought they were going on a school bus, so it was kind of fun when we took them outside, and we had a motor coach waiting for them. And it was actually Deb's idea to do the bus tour, and I had a great day just making fun of Deb and her. We had such a great time with the new staff. And I had to keep reminding him that was a joke, that was a joke. But then we went to the Hat, and Dave Smith, I had gone and met with Dave about a week ago, and I said, Dave, we want to bring about 30 people to the Hat, and we put the orders in, thanks to Lynn this morning. We called all the orders in, we had menus in here for them this morning. And then they had the whole section of the restaurant caution taped off for us. And so the new staff got to eat together, and we encouraged them to really network and build relationships, that this is their class as they join the fine group of professionals we have in the district. We had fun with that, and then we continued our tour, went to all the sites, either on a drive-by basis, so to speak, or to talk to the principals, depending on the construction. And we pointed out a number of different locations, and Jessica was great as well in assisting to ensure that we got to where we needed to go. And I even saw streets in Temple City I didn't even know, and I found out where Jessica was now. So So we had just had a great time with them today, and they kept saying they just had so much fun, and that's what we want. We want a school district that's high quality and enjoyable, and we want our new staff to say, gosh, this was so much fun. And then on tomorrow, we'll be spending the day, our leadership retreat at Descanso Gardens. We're working through leadership. We're going to do a service roundtable with all of our staff, talking about the type of service we're going to offer, and then what we can in turn, what they need from us. And then we're also going through the book, Ron Clark's new book, Move Your Bus. It's an enjoyable, quick read on leadership and moving our district forward. And then on Monday, again, partnering with our associations, we'll be hosting our back-to-school gathering at Live Oak Park in the morning. We're excited about that. And then on Tuesday, we'll have our, again, jointly sponsored barbecue with all of our associations. And then lastly, as Mr. Earl asked me to share, that we're waiting on our the property value report, so we know the amount of our bond issuance, so we can start planning out our next step in our project. So we're busy, but we're having a really enjoyable time working together, and it's going to be a great school year. I feel confident in the people that we've brought on board, and I'll talk about the org chart in just a couple minutes, but good times are ahead, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, written communications. I did receive a written communication from the Los Angeles County Office of Education, which includes the following: that their review of our budget and LCAP has resulted in their approval. So, that's excellent news, and thank you again to our staff for all the work that went into preparation of that. And there are some additional language in here. I'm going to pass this official copy to my left, to the powers that be. Are there any other written communications that were received? Okay, hearing none, we will move on. How are we doing for time? Pretty good. 8 minutes ahead? Okay.
Night's still young.
Night's still young. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to our discussion information items. These are items that the board would like to discuss and have information presented to us. They do not, however, require board action. And we'll start with the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium overview with Mr. Harrington. Good evening, Mr. Harrington.
Good evening. Welcome back, everybody. So this is a kind of a preview or a trailer to coming attractions. The aspect, as you guys will recall, is the test that we all were anxious about because we took it for the first time last spring. And we are awaiting official results to be released by the state. And when that happens, we'll circle back and provide much more information. But tonight is, again, just sort of the overview. Yay. All right, let's try it this way. There we go. Never fails when you need it, right? Okay, so the big thing to keep in mind is that this test is definitely a separation from past assessments. It's nothing like the CST or the KC or any other standardized test that our students have taken. So the one thing that we want to emphasize is that these results cannot be compared to any of the previous year's results. And so it's very important to get that message out to our stakeholders, our parents, and our students and our teachers that we can't use these things compared to anything else we've ever taken. It's completely different. Completely different. So again, they're entirely different, and they reflect a completely new set of performance standards also. So we're not, even if we try to compare them, we're not comparing them to the same thing. Okay, so completely different results. These scores this year will establish a new baseline. From this point forward, we will be able to start comparing these scores, obviously, into the future. But for right now, it's just the establishment of a new baseline. to that end, this is what it looks like as a scale score. So as you can see in the column on the far left, you've got our grade levels there. And then we've got our subjects, English and math, and you'll notice there's a range, and that range is different depending on the grade level and the content area. So these are, again, vastly different from previous years. And the reason I keep emphasizing that is because I think the inclination is going to be when these results come out, we're going to want to compare them to something. And so the message needs to be they're not comparable to anything else. So this has shifted since I put the PowerPoint together. I got an email yesterday. The timeline is being pushed back, so the state won't release the results to us until, the official results until September. So where it says late August, we'll go out and meet with the school sites, will distribute these individual results. We don't have them yet. So September, we will distribute the individual results. And then once CDE, the Department of Ed, releases those public results, we will then go out as Ed Services and site principals and host in our Title I meetings and so forth to share with parents what these results mean and how to interpret and how to read the results, because those will look vastly different too from the old reports that we've had in the past.
Member Tia has a question. Go ahead.
On the previous slide, the minimum maximum score,
Yes,
what does it mean if, you like,
I'm going to get to that.
I didn't know. Jumping again, I'll hold off then.
Okay. So here's what that means. We can use these results in a few ways. So for right now, we've got the scale score. So the minimum and maximum score is the range the students can fall within. Within that, there's 4 levels. There used to be 5 levels on the LCST, but there's 4 levels now. And so as you can see here, level 1 is just standard not met. Level 2 is standard nearly met. Level 3 is standard met. And level 4 is standard exceeded. So now within that range, they'll be broken up into actual clearer lines of delineation about where each level is defined.
So you're saying the minimum score, that's the minimum. So if I go in, I take tests and I feel I get all of them wrong. My minimum score is 20, for the 3rd grade test, I get 2114.
So the way this test is scored is going to be, again, vastly different. So you may get scored differently depending on the type of question. An easier question may be worth 1 point. A more difficult question, although you didn't get it right, you may get partial credit for. And if you do get it right, you may get more credit for getting that right than you would a less difficult question. But again, I'll follow up thoroughly with that at a later point in time with you. Okay?
If I may add, Kevin and I will be attending 2 different workshops in September to deepen our knowledge about how to explain these scores to parents. But nonetheless, Kevin's just trying to state that, yes, students will be given a score. There's 4 different levels. What those scores are, we will be learning about over this next month. And then we'll share that out. And when the parents receive their score report, it will color code it on the score report for the parents. So you will know if your child was in a level 1, level 2, level 3, or level 4. So more to come on that.
And then additionally, as we've discussed as well, the state is still trying to figure out what the scores mean. So that's part of the reason on the delay is there's a lot of discussion as to what that means. And you will recall that the scores are individualized, so that if a student was taking the test, the increase in difficulty depending on how they scored. So not every student, you can't compare every student either. So there are a number of multiple pieces in this that are not fully clarified yet, even at the state level. They hadn't even designed all the rubrics when the tests were being given.
Could I just ask one, so the numbers then on that slide with the minimum maximum, that's not for our district, because we haven't received any scores yet.
That's for the state. So
Yeah.
those are the scores that your child's range, it can fall within that range. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Only in California would we come up with ranges like that. Is there another question? Yes, go ahead, Mr. Goldberg.
Is this going to be published in the newspapers so people can look at our Arcady and San Marino, Temple City and the rest, El Monte, et cetera, and they can compare the scores based upon other school districts there.
Well, I'm sure they will, whether they should or not is a different question entirely.
Okay,
Yeah.
the question's gonna be is, do we need to do any PR or anything to minimize that potential or to help people understand when they compare schools, that these tests are specific to a student, not to a school? I don't know. That's my question.
That's one of the reasons why Kevin has already designed a calendar, a schedule of when he's going to push in and meet with the parents at our schools. And the principals will be there, educational services, and we're going to get the word out as best we can.
I think you're assuming that we're gonna score more than another district. I think it's gonna be the other way around. We need to
Absolutely.
worry about this, not us.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. Take that football score against San Marino in the last room and just flip it, and we'll be on top.
Yeah.
But why don't we let Mr. Harrington finish his presentation, but I did have a comment to Mr. Nolenberg's comment.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So more appropriate uses for the scores, in conjunction with other evidence of student measures, of student learning. We want to make sure that we're not looking at these scores in isolation. They are, again, just a baseline score this year. So other appropriate uses would be to identify students who may need additional supports in English language arts and math. Identify strengths, weaknesses, and gaps in our curriculum and instruction. Identify areas for professional development. And then identify areas for resource allocation. But I want to emphasize again, in conjunction with other measures of student learning.
Thank you. And if I could just back up then for a moment. Mr. Nolenberg, I think you're also bringing up the concept of the API, which we have had, which maybe we'll learn more about it at a different time. But obviously there was a score, a number for each school, and my understanding is that that's not going to be the case, at least not this year. And I don't know if there's any more information to present about that, but that old traditional number that used to be assigned to each school for the foreseeable future, that's not going to happen. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. But Mr. Nolenberg, I think your comment's a great one, and I'm glad to see that we're being proactive and that we'll reach out to the community. I expect a lot of interest from our parents in coming and hearing about the results. And I'm curious as to why the state has delayed sending them out, and so, but we're all kind of on this train together, and so we will learn more from our staff here as they learn more.
Do we need to do anything when somebody doesn't meet the standards? Do we need to create some type of class or special training?
Yeah, so to that last slide, as long as we're using it in conjunction with other means of measurement to assess student learning, we make those adjustments. But we're not going to take this one isolated score and determine that a student is either meeting with great success or not meeting with success based on
So
this
this is
score.
part of a gap in a sense of a poor student, rich students, I guess. Who's going to be using any of that or not?
I don't quite understand your question, Mr.
Well,
Nolenberg.
there's a lot of times when there's always an education gap between the Hispanic students and white students, or African American students and white students. There's always been a gap in the test scores. Is this going to help with that or not?
Well, again, this is one data point.
Okay.
So we're going to need a lot more information to be able to make informed decisions.
And you'll recall too that we look at students on an individual basis, not by group. That is something that the state often does, but one thing that we continue to pride ourselves on in our school district, and we're going to build upon and continue to do, is to support each individual student. But as we indicated, it's not that we don't want to give you the information. The state has not yet decided what they're even doing, how they're gathering the information, what they're doing with the information, and how does that compare in the bigger picture. The assessment got a bit ahead of the design and the rollout for communication to school districts and families. So we're going to look at every student individually, and we'll wait on them to see what other pieces they're looking at, regardless of wealth or non-wealth. So.
Thank you. Other questions or comments, other discussion? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Harrington, thank you, staff. All right, we're still ahead of schedule, well, I think so. There's some stalling on that end. Is this a dais? What is this? A table?
Table.
Thank you. I don't know what a dais is. All right, we're moving on now. Business services, facility bond construction projects update. Ms. Sorrell and Mr. Rodriguez, good evening.
Okay, good evening. So just a quick update from our last presentation that we did regarding the bond projects. Lots have been going on, and keep in mind this information is as of yesterday morning. So as of this afternoon, the sites look completely different than they did yesterday, and they change every single day. So just to recap, the modernization at Cloverly, it's 5 buildings and 17 classrooms. Windows, flooring, lighting, ceilings, technology package, marker boards, restrooms, and campus-wide fire alarm upgrade. So these are the pictures as of yesterday morning. You can see there is no carpet. Carpet is in today. It will be completed probably tomorrow. Windows are in. All the painting is done. They're not going to drop in the ceiling tiles until probably the weekend because those tend to get dirty with construction debris. So they're just going to wait till the last minute to do those. Air conditioning has been started up and tested. So all that stuff has been ongoing the last couple of weeks. So like I said, HVAC units have been started up and tested. They were supposed to happen yesterday, but it was today. I'm sorry, it was supposed to happen tomorrow, but it was today. Window framing work is complete in all the buildings. Plaster and stucco patch work is also completed, and they are doing the exterior painting. They started that today also. Interior painting is complete. Like I said, exterior painting, they did start today instead of Friday. Carpet installation has begun and should be done by, if not tomorrow afternoon, then Friday morning. Window glass installation is scheduled for a week from this Friday. So we did have a delay with the manufacturing of the glass, but all the windows have been secured, and there's a couple doors that have been secured also. Actually, you can't really tell on there, but the inside of the windows have been secured. So everything is safe, and we will be doing the glass installation either after hours and on the weekends to get all that stuff in. The restrooms are being prepared for new tile finishes. We wanted to provide a more complete modernization. The original scope of work was just to move the fixtures as needed to comply with ADA and just patch the tile. Looking at it again, we thought it might be best to just demo all the tile and provide basically a new restroom facilities for the project. So with the lead time of the new tile, it wasn't going to be here in time. So we are providing temporary restroom buildings for the students, and those are going to be delivered tomorrow and hooked up on Friday, so they'll be ready for the first day of school. And that's what they look like. It's a trailer, and it has a boys and a girls. The girls has 4 toilets. The boys has 4 urinals and 4 toilets. So we're expecting them to be on the site for less than a month. But depending on when we get the tile in, we'll have a better idea.
Does it change order?
I'm sorry?
Does it change order or increase the cost?
It will a little bit. They kind of had a lot of work to do in kind of patching and going around all, the existing fixtures. So it was easier just to demo the whole thing. So there will be a little bit of a cost on the extra tile, but not really the labor to get the tile or to prep it.
The total?
No.
One thing that's important,
go ahead.
sorry. One thing I think that's important for everyone to understand that as a team, we walk each site like we did at the Learning Center. And so the bond covered certain items, but really not everything to make it look as good as we want it to look. So for those items we go through, we identify what those items are, and then we're using deferred maintenance to cover it. We don't want to have a project sort of half done because we don't quite have enough bond money once it's really complete when we're finished. Had the bathrooms just been patched as the project had called for, we're looking at, 40 or 50-year-old tile. You could get something close, but it's really not going to look as good as it should for our students and our staff. So we review it and take a little bit of money out of deferred maintenance, have a nice complete project when we're finished.
And as Marianne indicated, we're at the sites every day, following progress. Daniel and his team are doing a great job at, when we saw the restrooms and the amount of tile patchwork that had to be completed in addition to the demo that occurred due to some of the wood rot. It was just not, we didn't feel as a team it was in our best interest in using our dollars wisely to have a patched bathroom, because it could be 50 plus years before any of this is even touched again. So with a little bit of creativity, we were able to make sure that when the students have the restrooms and we deliver the school, so to speak, to the site, back to the site and to the community, that it's dollars well spent.
Okay, next, La Rosa modernization. To recap, that's 2 classroom buildings with 12 classrooms, doors and windows, new flooring, ceilings, new lighting, marker boards, technology package, restroom upgrade, and a campus-wide fire alarm. So these are some pictures. Exterior, today they were painted, the doors were put on. You have the interior marker boards and Eno boards. The bottom left is all of the new HVAC units on the roof. And carpet is going in tomorrow in these classrooms.
I'd like to add that we, as indicated, we did tour with the Citizens Oversight Committee on Monday night, and they were extremely pleased. And again, some of the detail is because of our constant working, and you will hear perhaps from some of the staff that we did remove a lot of cabinetry, and we will be supporting their storage needs through modular units. But we felt very strongly as a team as we toured each and every classroom individually at La Rosa, Cloverly, and also Emperor, that it was advantageous for us to remove some of the built-in cabinetry, because basically if we had left it, it would look like repainted 50-year-old cabinetry. And we want more flexible learning space. We want learning space that is usable far decades from now, not just to cover with paint some of the pieces that we had in place. So you may hear from the staff that, and every classroom is different. Every single classroom is different at La Rosa, Cloverly, and Emperor. So it wasn't a matter of just a classroom standard, that we had to go in and spend time discussing every single class individually, but we believe we're going to deliver a much better product at the end.
So La Rosa HVAC unit startup is scheduled for tomorrow. Finished electrical work is just about done. The tappable surface on the walls, that installation is complete. Fire alarm devices install is in progress throughout the site. The complete campus-wide fire alarm is not going to be done until the end of the project, because that is hitting every single classroom in the school. So until that time, there's going to be 2 fire alarm systems. There's the new system, and as rooms are getting completed, they're taking off the old and put on the new. So until it's completely done, there'll be 2 systems. But they're side by side in the same room, so it's not difficult to manage.
In La Rosa, as I recall, there's a storage room or something that had a whole bunch of different electronic boxes in it. Did you rip all those out?
No.
So there's still...
Some of them are there. There's some of them that we need still. The main fiber goes into those rooms,
Okay.
and all the data lines get distributed to the classrooms
Can
from
somebody
the.
tell which is gonna be required, which
Yes.
ones are obsolete?
Yes.
Okay.
So the stuff that was not needed has been removed. We talked about the restrooms. This is going to have the same restroom building, the restroom trailer placed here as well. All the ADA path of travel concrete work in front of all the buildings is complete. This site called for new parking lot lighting, and those are already up and they are running. And they're going to patch the asphalt back tomorrow when they do the rest of the asphalt patch. Cabinet installation, they're just about done with that. T-bar ceiling grid is up and they are just about finished with all the tile installation. Carpet is going to be done by Friday. We expected them to begin today, but it didn't get here till late yesterday, so they're not going to begin until tomorrow. Final cleaning and paint touch-up in the classroom, they're going to do that this weekend. So we want to get as many people out of the buildings as they can before they start doing that work. And like I said, the temporary restroom buildings are going to be delivered tomorrow and hooked up on Friday, so they'll be ready to use on Wednesday.
Can I just ask a question? So the cabinet installation, so is that in some of the classrooms, there's some?
All of the classrooms at La Rosa didn't have ADA compliant sink cabinets, so those had to be replaced. At Cloverly, all those are compliant, so there was no need to do any cabinet replacement there.
What about around the sinks? Is that what you
The
said?
sinks are ADA compliant.
Right, okay, okay. Are there, okay, thank you.
Next we have Emperor Interim Housing and Modernization. Modernization project will go out to bid the end of this month. Right now we're wrapping up the interim housing project, which you'll see on the left. There's 4 classroom buildings. This is what they look like. It's the same as it did last time. All the work is kind of going on in the walls. We're just doing fire alarm data and hooking up the power. Power was turned on today. They are still pulling data wiring. And fire alarm will not be up and running until, they're saying, the 26th, maybe the 27th. But it's really close to all the existing buildings, so there's no danger of no one not knowing that there's, an emergency. Yes.
Mr. Nalberg, go ahead.
On these, with the little ramp that goes up to the temporary top, is the bottom part, you're gonna put asphalt?
Asphalt, yeah, that was done today.
Okay. And the asphalt won't cause a problem with all the heat and everything?
Yeah.
Because there's a lip about, what, 2.5 inches, 3 inches maybe?
It's about 4.5 inches, but it's tapered down, so you have the correct slope for ADA compliance.
Okay.
Next, we have Temple City High School. The pre-qualification review is complete. We did get a lot of responses, so we will be reviewing those with the district on Friday, so we can put out the list to everybody that responded, whether or not they're pre-qualified to do the project. Advertising is going to be published on Monday. I sent that off today to the newspaper, and that was confirmed. Bid date is on September 17th. The award is going to be the week of the 21st, and construction is going to begin early October, and the new building will be ready to occupy winter of 2016. And that's it.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Mr. Bell?
Well, I would like to thank
Thanks. I'd like to thank everyone involved, our administration, TeleQ, our staff, for working so hard to get all of this done. Restrooms, the temporary restrooms are pretty good.
They're very nice.
Yes, and my daughter would appreciate this. She'll thank you personally. Anyway, yeah, I happened to, just want to share, I happened to stop by this past Saturday. I saw a lot of the crew working at Cloverly as I passed through there quite often, and I was thinking, wow, this heat was pretty bad over the weekend. And I will give credit to, I think, is it AJ Fistis? Is that the company?
Yes.
Yeah, they were on me quick. Like once I got in, they were, who are you and why are you here? So I appreciate that. That was really good. And I ran into Mr. Schaefer and Mr. Kwok and got a little quick look at all the work that's being done, and it truly looks very good. And again, the attention to detail I noticed was excellent. Again, clearly it's a very old building, so a lot of stuff going on. So the kids are looking forward to it. I will tell you that. I get the equivalent of "Are we there yet?" for my daughter, because as they pass through, it's always "Are they done yet?" So. But now I'll be glad to be able to tell her in a few weeks, yes. So thank you very much for your work.
Yes, other questions or comments? Mr. Nolberg?
Yeah, I second Mr. Bell's comments about the work and everything, and I'm very glad that we spent the extra couple of bucks out of maintenance to make a good job instead of just an average run-of-the-mill type upgrade, because I don't see us going back for a long time to do anything, and so if it doesn't get done this go around, it may not get done for a long, long time. I'm talking probably 5-10 years at the minimum. So I'm glad we're doing what we're doing.
Thank you. Other board comments, questions? Yes, Mr. Bell.
Just a final thing, and I forgot I wanted to mention that I really appreciate, again, the attention to detail, and I learned a term from Mr. Schaefer in terms of how they mapped out all these projects with this particular bond. So in future reference, as we move along and we adjust, adapt, change things, there's a map that whoever is here in the future can take a look and see exactly where everything is, and they won't have to guess, which is fantastic. So thank you.
What's that term called?
Red line.
Huh?
Is it red line?
The red line drawing?
Red line drawings.
Red line
Yeah.
drawings.
Sorry, I didn't say the
As-built,
term.
as-built drawings.
As what?
As built.
As built? Oh, like as, it's not an acronym. It's
As it was built.
as it was built. Is there a Latin term for that?
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Oh, I was just going to thank you for the information, and regarding the high school, I know we'll be addressing that at our future meetings in September. I look forward to that. But I'm quite pleased with how the project, starting with the Learning Center, have proceeded, and I think it certainly bodes well for our future. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to thank the board for their words of affirmation. Having a bond construction project is, we were talking today, it is like another full-time job for us. So we do appreciate the kind words, because we are spending a lot of time, and will continue to spend a lot of time going forward to ensure that we're using our dollars wisely, because a number of things were not covered by the bond, as you're well aware. And so we're doing the very best we can to stretch the available bond dollars and then supplement where it's allowed and possible to make sure that we, as I said, deliver a complete product to our students, staff, and community.
This weekend, we have extra staff scheduled Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to move the desk furniture back in the classrooms and move the teacher's supplies back into the classroom, so we'll be ready for them next week.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, discussion item number 19, which under administration, that is the 2015-2016 district organizational chart, which has been provided to us. And there are 2 pages, so Ms. Pringle, will you speak about that, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pomeroy. You'll recall over the last 6 months, one of our goals has been to restructure the district office to make it more of a service-oriented and support to our school sites. And so that was very key in establishing the organizational chart. As that's requested by you, the other organizational chart is attached for your reference, but spent about the last 6 months studying all different types of organization structures to ensure that we're providing the best possible structure to provide the support needed. This organizational chart it's much more of a hybrid model than a structure this indicates. It would really be more of a web type approach, because because none of these are in isolation, nor does the order in which they fall indicate importance or order of value within the structure. So I spent a lot of time looking at our skill set, what we are bringing as we hire, and the process that we go through to ensure that we're bringing in individuals that are not just singularly focused, which tended to be somewhat of how we hired and worked before, but individuals that have a varied skill set. And then lastly, the area, the way the structure is that you may see, for example, under the chief business official, each of those areas we try to align as the best possible piece, but that is only in an effort to streamline who that individual reports to ensure that we have continuity and consistency. But they, each individual on the chart is by no means limited to the person that is considered their supervisor. So we have a number of other opportunities for individuals. For example, you see that Mr. Kuna is overseeing the director of technology, but that is just so that Mr. Harper has one individual that he could go to and to ensure that he has somebody that he reports to. But in actuality, he will also report to educational services and has a strong interest in doing that. But given Mr. Kuna's background in networking, and that's a primary focus of what we're doing now as we build a more robust network, to use Mr. Harper's terminology, but his strong desire and strength really in the area of educational services. So there will be a high degree of crossover as we move forward. And then an additional comment is that even though I've taken and teased out, if you will, our structure, this is reflective of only one additional hire, and that would be the STEM, STEAM, Common Core, TOSA. Other than that, I took our existing structure and expanded what we did and reformatted our opportunities. For example, taking the Director of Quality Care and creating the career School to Career Enrichment Program under the helm of Kevin Harrington, and taking those dollars and reformatting, and then also moving assessment. We also then combined student services with special education. So we're really feeling like we're maximizing not only the dollars, but the support to the schools. And that's our primary focus, and everything we do in the district office is how does this affect the school site, and how can we best support our staff and students going forward. So at this juncture, I'll be happy to entertain any questions you have.
Just so for clarification, and so the second page is a chart that had been provided previously last year, that was 2014, 2015. And so the first page here has much more detail, which I very much appreciate. And it's very helpful for me to see it laid out and how, how the different branches fill in. And in particular, the fact that Melissa Kissler, the Director and Coordinator, has a direct oversight responsibility, if that's the right word, I don't know, to the sites, which I believe maybe is a role that Gary McGuire was playing previously.
And primarily, the reason that's designed that way, and thank you for mentioning that, is one of Dr. Kissler's primary responsibilities will to continue to build leadership capacity amongst the principals, and all of us doing that as well, but they too will have a particular individual that they have support from, in addition to the entire educational services and our entire structure. But we want to continue to build capacities in our school sites with our principals as well.
Comments, questions? Member Nolenberg?
Yeah, on the assistant principals, is there a reason why Clovelly and Doug Sears doesn't have an assistant?
It's by size and by need. Cloverly and the Dr. Doug Sears Learning Center as far as staff. And when we look at assistant principals, we don't just look at enrollment, we look at the number of staff that has to be supervised or supported. And so that's how we determine the need for an assistant principal.
Other comments or questions? I'll repeat what I said, which is, did you have a comment or question?
Yeah, actually.
Go ahead.
First of all, I just want to thank Kathy for putting this together and actually putting it on the website so quickly, even though it's in the same place as it was before, buried under stuff, but at least it's there. So thank you. And thank you also for the explanation with respect to moving technology under the personal services. Now I take it then, I think you gotta be careful here in my school. So then, the director of technology then was basically, I think you mentioned he's going to do some, I guess, instructional work as well.
A lot of instructional work as well.
Okay. All right. And then, as I was going through our website and everything, is there a place or a location on our website where we can find job descriptions or responsibilities of each of these departments?
Yeah, we'll be working on that in addition to providing an organizational directory, which will be a support and supplement to the organizational chart, which is something that we haven't had in detail in the past in order for somewhat of a opportunity for individuals and the families and community to see more specifically the director. But we will be providing that as well as we finish. You'll see as part of the board packet tonight the TOSA piece that we'll to you. Once everything is fully aligned, then we'll be providing all that additional information.
One final question. The org chart that we have here, is this the final, or are there still?
This is the final.
For the school year, right?
Final, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments or questions? Well, I'll echo myself, I echo Member Tiet, that having this information out there and putting names to roles, I think is an important thing. I know we're working on the website, that's a good project. And I'd like us to see when people come to our website and learn about us, that they recognize a few important individuals. And I mean, the five of us, well, we're not really that important, but we are important. And so there will be information about us. I note, however, that of the five of us, who has actually provided biographical information for the website, that was only me. So I invite my fellow board members to do that.
We're happy to make it up for you if you'd like.
But also, right, exactly. But also, for key officials, I just, to have names and maybe faces and as you were discussing, Member T had some descriptions so that people understand, who's who. And, they're looking at this chart. I guess I expected that I would know this, by the back of my hand and then see one or two little changes. But, there was a couple of things in here that even I hadn't quite appreciated how it all lined up. So it's helpful to have it laid out this way. We're not in a position to really pass on this or we don't take action on this, but Superintendent Perine, I just want to thank you for putting this together and not only putting the individual people into the places, but for designing the whole structure as it is. So thank you again for that. Other comments, questions? Yes, Member Chet?
One thing, when we do the website, we need the board members right in the front page with our big mugshot.
Oh, Mr. Harper is working on, we have some special pictures that we pre-selected.
Well, there was, Life Touch was at the high school taking pictures. My daughter got her ID the same day. We could do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously that there are other projects that we're looking forward to, but thank you again for this.
You're welcome.
Okay. We shall move on to our discussion action agenda. These would be items that may require discussion and upon which we are expected to take action during the meeting. And our first item is under business services, item number 20, to approve the notice of completion and release of retention for ABNY General Engineering for the Dr. Doug Sears Learning Center new administration and classroom building project, for which we have a memo. Is there any more information, Mr. Rodriguez, or you want to just answer questions if we have?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions.
Are there any questions or comments about this item? This is a requirement that we do for this particular contractor? since
Yeah,
we're-
for every contract.
Right. And I noted that there was a retention amount, $12,908. And so that amount was left over.
11,850.
Okay, what item are we on?
20. You're looking at
Oh, mine are I'm sorry, mine are out of order. Okay, right, 11,850, okay, and no change orders. Okay. Questions, comments?
So how much money's left on the table for this, or you're doing now?
There's none left. There's a little bit left for some furniture, and that's about it.
Okay, and so we have two of these, obviously, and so this one is for, right, okay. All right, well, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this as I just read it off the agenda. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Milbury seconded that. Do we have further questions or information or anything else?
Just in regards to the project, when you have the opportunity to visit the Dr. Doug Sears Learning Center, again, you'll see our attention to detail. We took some deferred maintenance dollars and utilized those to ensure that the entire campus has been addressed, so that we are providing to for the Learning Center an entirely new and renovated school building and property, and address the felt needs and the real needs of that the Learning Center community had shared with us over the last year, to the point where I'll just embarrass Mr. Sewell a little bit, where he was actually emotional because he said he was prepared to come back to just a new office and not have the rest of the campus be looking new, and we took care of all that.
Very good. Okay, Mr. Tiet.
One minor thing.
Minor thing.
In the notice of completion, in the verification, that's Catherine's supposed to sign. I think we have of before going, and so there's a slight typo there.
Oh, okay.
Remove that.
Yeah, we can fix that before we send it.
Thank you. Okay, there's a motion. All in favor? Aye. That's 5-0, thank you. Now, moving on to item number 21, I will make a motion that we approve the notice of completion release of retention for Silver Creek Industries for the Dr. Doug Sears Learning Center new administration and classroom building project. Is there a second? Second by member Nolenberg. Okay. Anything else on this one?
Just the same thing with verification.
Thank you for noticing that. Other questions or comments, board members? Okay, all right, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, that's 5-0. Moving on to item number 22, which is to receive revised board policies for their first reading. Section 1000, it's board policy 1312.3, regarding uniform complaint procedures, and also in section 9000, board bylaw 9223, regarding filling vacancies on the board. And I note that on that particular bylaw, the change is to remove a paragraph regarding the furnishing of a bond, and if a board member doesn't furnish either an additional or a supplemental bond for their role, previously they could have been removed from office apparently for that. And then we often ask this question, but these are changes that were recommended by the California School Board Association.
That is correct, and then on the ones that are obviously specific to each of our areas of responsibility, we review to ensure that we're still staying within the desires of the district and the intent of the language. But we almost always take the CSBA language as it's indicated.
Thank you. I'll make a motion in a moment, but are there questions or comments about these revised policies that we are receiving for first reading? Member Nollenberg?
Just a clarification on the uniform complaint. Does this apply to like the school foundation and the people who do robotics and Odyssey of the Mind, Science Olympics, etc.? Does this ruling, this bylaw apply to them? Or would it apply to them?
I'm not sure what you're asking. The foundation is a standalone, separate from the school district.
In paragraph 2, it says the district's program and activities include, but not limited to, those funded directly by or receive benefits from the state financial assistance.
Well, at any point, a member of the community can come forward with a uniform complaint. So anything that provides any kind of service to our students, I think that's what you're asking. There could be a complaint filed as long as if there's something under our jurisdiction or we receive support from and give our blessing, so to speak, to that.
File it under this bylaw?
They could,
Oh,
but not typically when it comes to the foundation.
So the bylaw provides a procedure for complaints to the district regarding district activities or related activities. And so there has to be some sort of procedure. Has to be some sort of, otherwise the lawyers would go crazy and come up with their own and argue about the procedure instead of arguing about the substance. Was your question answered, Mr. Nollenberg, so far? Okay, first reading, so we'll have a chance to go through this some more before it comes back to us. Other questions or comments? Okay, then I'll make a motion that we go ahead and receive these revised policies for first reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Member Ridley.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We're doing good. What is the time?
You're behind schedule.
Yes, I am. How many lashes? Take this, striking with this, right? Okay, consent agenda. These are routine items approved by one motion and one vote unless a member of the board or the audience requests that any item be reviewed and voted upon separately. So first I will ask, are there any requests to have any of these items reviewed and voted upon separately? Okay. In that case, I will make a motion that we approve the consent agenda in its entirety. Is there a second? Second by Member Nollenberg. So that motion is pending. Are there questions or comments about any of the items on the consent agenda? I see we've hired a new assistant principal at the high school to fill the, so there will be 3 assistant principals this year as there were last year. Effective date to be determined, so he hasn't started yet, but.
Well, technically he'd like to start tomorrow, so as long as he gets approved tonight, we'll call him and see if he's able to start tomorrow. Just a matter of notice for his district that he's currently working in.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Okay, do we have any resolutions here? I don't believe we do. Okay, all in favor? Aye. That's 5-0, thank you. Moving on, board comments, requests for information for future agenda items. Are there any such requests? Okay, we have a few requests that we've made previously and items that I know are coming up. All right, well, if there's nothing else to add, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Member Nolenberg has made a motion to adjourn, and Member Ridley has seconded that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. With our student board member, that's 6-0.